My name is Jill Bray Bowen, CEO of Northwestern Medical Center and your host of the NMC Health Beat Show, dedicated to discussing exciting topics of interest to our community. Today, I'm excited to be talking about Rise Vermont in the school systems. And so with me is Wynn Goodrich, Superintendent of Schools, and Jessica Frost, who is a Rise Vermont wellness specialist. So thank you both for being here today.
Happy to be here.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so Rise Vermont is near and dear to our hearts, but maybe just to ground folks is to remind folks what is Rise Vermont, and then we can go right into the school systems.
So I guess I could start. So RISE works to make our community a healthier place to live, work, play, and learn. So our mission is really to make it easy to make the healthy choice. So no matter where you are in the community, there's healthy options and things that help you just live a healthy lifestyle.
Exactly. That's a great overview. And what are each of your roles relative to Rise Vermont?
I'll jump in and just say that my role is to help wellness thrive in our schools, and RISE certainly is a piece of that. I sit on the state RISE board, and I'm happy and honored to be on that entity, as not only it expands in Franklin and Grand Isle County, but really throughout Vermont.
Excellent. And Jess, what's your role?
So I'm based out of here at NMC, but I work in all assets of the community. I'm primarily in St. Albans, but I do a lot of work with businesses, so trying to help business leaders change the culture in their work environment, trying to make it the norm to have a walking meeting or stretch breaks during a meeting, or for them to offer, if they're having a celebration, that there's healthy food available. So when people are at work, it's easier for them to be healthy. And then the other piece is working with towns. Primarily, I have a couple projects going on right now, but one is along the Route 7 North Corridor. We worked with the town and the city to find grant money to do a feasibility study to see if sidewalks or a rec path could be an option out there. Because anyone that's ever tried to walk that corridor is really taking their life into their hands. I went out there to photograph, and it felt like a leapfrog trying to run across the street. And then the last piece is in the schools. So I work in schools with administration and also directly with classroom teachers.
Excellent, excellent. Now, what does a Rise Vermont classroom look like? And who do you work with? How does that work in the schools?
Yeah, so I work with any teacher who's interested, pretty much. I have 24 classrooms this year that I'm engaged with. And a RISE classroom is a place where the kids are regularly taking brain breaks. So the teacher recognizes the value in brain breaks, not only to kids getting their wiggles out, but it's actually shown to improve their academic performance as well. Also teachers who, when they have a celebration, they bring healthy foods in. We've received pictures of teachers who have shown us their Valentine's Day party, and it's just little cherry tomatoes cut into heart shapes and veggie platters and fruit and red colored fruit for their celebration. And then the last thing we really look for is that those teachers are not taking away recess as a punishment. They're finding other ways to work with kids so that all kids get the opportunity to move during their day.
And is that what a brain break is? What is a brain break?
Oh, yes. So a brain break can be just anything. It could be from 5 minutes long, 2 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever the teacher has time for. And a lot of times teachers will just pop up a video where the kids get to dance around or, do some jumping jacks. Or it could be something that the teacher leads themselves. And sometimes they're movement, sometimes they're mindfulness. It's just taking that break from academics for a little bit to allow a kid to reset.
Nice. That's fantastic. So what is Rise Vermont, what impact has it had on the school system from your perspective?
Well,
this is really cool stuff.
It is. It is really amplified what I've always believed, and it's a formal process that students and teachers and schools can quantify what they're doing and how they're progressing. Of course, all our schools are striving to be the gold standard, and some of them are getting pretty close. Some of these activities schools did it intermittently, but this gives them a reason and an excuse to do it systematically, and I think that's the powerful part. We're fortunate in Swanton that we're on a on a walking trail.
Yes.
Swan Elementary is right there. We just met last night with the village trustees to expand our playground structures so that more comfortable and more attractive for families to come after school hours. So all of these kinds of activities are what really makes the difference. And as we look at research, you can fight the fact that children are acting out in school, or you can go with it. And going with it is with the brain breaks and the mindfulness and those activities. So we're really excited to be able to have those kinds of resources. And the personnel, like Jessica, like Betsy Fournier, can come in and be that champion that just helps us work through things that might not be the primary focus of teachers. They might not know quite how to do it. So the benefit of the RISE staff is there are folks there that help us get it done.
Excellent. That's a great overview of the impact. Now, you recently went to China.
Yes.
And so did you see any wellness approaches there, and how does it compare to what we're doing?
The United States is in trouble.
No kidding. Tell us about this.
The adage that there are more honor roll children in China than there are total students in the United States is a bit scary when you look at a global economy.
Wow.
So from a competition standpoint, we really need to kind of step it up. In schools that we saw, there were physical activity every morning with the whole school. It might be Tai Chi, it might be walking or running on a track. Of course, it's a very different environment. The families live right around the school, whether it's a private school or a public school. Families might live in the high-rise, so it's all walkable. A lot of bicycles. They also deliver Pizza Hut on bicycles with little boxes on the back. So the migration of American food to China is a bit problematic. And when EPOD was here from the EPOD project with Tommy, the researcher, Tommy's
Yes.
been doing some research in China, and they're starting to see some obesity trends happening in China as well, with the Americanization of diet. Those kinds of things are troublesome. But we saw dojos where third graders are doing these routines in Kung Fu that are unbelievable. We saw a ski machine where they're preparing for the 2022 Olympics. Every student in this elementary school is on a ski simulator. They're running a course, they're running gates, and I'm sure they're extracting the creme de la creme skiers that will be on the actual slopes in Beijing and for the next Winter Olympics. So there's a lot of those kind of things. We saw third graders simultaneously bouncing basketballs for a whole period, alternating simultaneously, seated, standing, kneeling. I used to coach varsity basketball, and my high school kids couldn't do that. So I saw a lot of emphasis on those kinds of issues, a lot on mindfulness, a lot on kind of crossing the hemisphere of left brain, right brain with different activities for concentration. And I think that the whole aspect of connecting physical activity to academic learning is very real and in the forefront of the thinking of school administrators and certainly government officials. And money's not an issue. And they want their children to come to the United States and go to American universities, and that's one of the reasons I was there, to attract Chinese school students to come to Missisquoi Valley Union, and to be there for a year paying tuition, helping us to expand our diversity, and helping us with a revenue source. So there were a lot of goals.
Wow. So one or two takeaways that you might advise Rise Vermont or maybe even other superintendents to look at our schools and wellness policy. What influence has this had on you?
Well, I'm still somewhat in shock, if that's the appropriate term. Jessica and I were talking before about the development of our wellness policies. It's a requirement, and we're both into it. She's a little bit ahead of me in this school district. But the issue is, symbolically, we need to have those kinds of structures in place so that parents and community members and educators understand that these are norms in our school, like the healthy snacks, like the physical activity. That's going to have impact in what we do and how competitive we are in kind of the world of education and the world of work. So I'm still trying to filter through how that might change. But also, we've added a physical education teacher at MBU this year to be able to have more variety and more flexibility in scheduling. So that's certainly a piece.
Absolutely. That's great. I mean, when you think about Rise Vermont and, in talking with even Dr. Fontaine, who looks at the population and chronic conditions, it's one thing to try to reverse a chronic condition. It's another thing, let's prevent it to begin with. It's like, we don't have to die of a chronic condition.
Right.
So, the school systems, the daycares, the families, it's really integral to the success for Rise Vermont and ultimately having a healthy population. So both of your roles are just so impactful, and even the wellness policies. And I know, Jess, you actually did almost like a train-the-trainer program for yoga classes, right? Yoga class in the classroom?
Yeah.
So what was that like, and how did that evolve, and what was the impact of that?
Well, it was interesting. At the beginning of the year, SATEC, St. Albans Town Educational Center, has a guidance counselor, Amy Ward, and she works with the K through 4 students. And she does a great mindfulness unit with second grade. But she was looking for yoga for first grade to start introducing mindfulness, but also incorporate the movement. So I worked with her one-on-one to set up a 6-week curriculum that she could bring throughout the school. And then as she started doing that, more and more teachers were interested in doing yoga in the classroom. And we also had teachers from other schools throughout the county who had been reaching out to us. So we're like, how do we make this sustainable? Because it can't always be Rise Vermont going out. We have to be able to train people so that they can go do these things too, and just widen our net. So there's this great program out of New Hampshire called Yoga for Classrooms, and they go to schools all around the country, and they train teachers specifically in how to incorporate yoga. So the amazing thing about this was that we just picked a Saturday. It was not part of an in-service. It was on the teacher's own time, and we had over 60 teachers come who wanted to be a part of it. And it was an all-day training. They each got a manual, they got a deck of yoga cards, and the trainer was excellent just in providing them. She had a whole chart. If you're getting ready for a test and you have 5 minutes, do this sequence. If you have 15 minutes and the kids need to settle down, do this sequence. It was just totally laid out for them so they could implement it right away. And my kids are in some of those classes of those teachers, and they've reported back to me that the teachers started implementing it right away, and that the kids have been really receptive to it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I know Town School has this core group who really would like to try to implement it throughout all the great K through 4 classrooms. So there's a next level of training that's called Implement Lead training through Yoga for Classrooms. So we're thinking about bringing them back and letting her train this group so that they can really spread it throughout the whole school. And not only Town School, any school who's interested in doing that would be welcome.
Oh, that's terrific.
But it's a nice new model just on how we can take these initiatives and train the leaders in our community to spread it out there.
One other thing, Jill, I should have said earlier on when you asked the question about in schools, the whole body mass index analysis that RISE did with about 1,700 students in Franklin and Grand Isle County
thank you for mentioning this.
is really a foundational piece of here's where we are at start, what will the impact be down the road in the next 10 years or so with children with the opportunity for yoga and these programs. Will that make a change, and will that simulate what EPOD has done since 1992 in France, Belgium, and in the Netherlands? And we're very hopeful that will show the same impact.
Exactly. I mean, we are following this evidence-based, community-based, school-based program, and it's this whole wraparound of changing the environment, making the healthy choice the easy choice, and we're just hoping by developing this community resilience that the infrastructure will be there to change the results of those measurements. So,
yeah, and for schools, when you have the